Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. We are back with another true crime talking about the Idaho 4 case. Now, I've said this in pretty much every video since I started doing true crime again. But I am 99% positive. Well, I'm positive there is no way on God's green earth, at the very least, if you believe it was Brian Koberger who committed the atrocity on 1122 King Road, he could not have done this alone. That part, I cannot make this clearer. If this was a multi-person job, I've said this over and over and over again. And in this video, I'm going to walk through the profile of the people who are involved in this case, who committed the atrocities. I cannot put a name to it. I'm not going to name names. That is for other people to determine, figure out. I'm just going to tell you, give pretty much Criminal Mind style psychological makeup, and then we'll compare it to Brian Koberger. So, at the very least, we're looking at 3 different perpetrators. I gotta find the right words for YouTube, because, everything's gotta be you gotta dance around everything. But, anyway, so, when we get into that, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any racing, true crime talk, and football, and politics, all that. Alright, let's get into it. So, perpetrator number 1 is, it could be 2 people, but it's an identical makeup. So we're gonna go with this. This person, more than likely, male. I would say 28 to probably 40. Little old to be in college, unless you're going on one of those advanced deals. But nonetheless, likely 28, pretty fit, leader. He is the alpha. He has a history of violence. He's high IQ, and he has done this before. Likely, he has likely done something along these lines before, whether it be to animals or whatever the case. But he is going to be calm, cool, collective in chaotic situations, professional, you name it, in the most sick and twisted way possible. And because when you look at, just going off the autopsy outline that they gave us, Madison Mogan and Ethan Chapin, they were stabbed in the lung, and then in another vital organ. Very quick, very calculated. This is a very high IQ individual. So, that is the first one. And again, he is the leader of the pack. Now, the second person, it would be the one who took the life of Kaylee Goncalves. maybe not the brightest. He follows the leader, more than likely male, somewhere between 18 to 25, could be could have an incel aspect to it. Haley may have slighted him without realizing it, and it may not be a slight to the average person, but this person thinks very highly of themselves, and that's what brought out the rage that caused this person, this individual, to completely disfigure Kaylee or her face. This person would be decent, would be probably average to medium size as far as strength, and very, very, he's got a hair trigger. He sets off very easily, gets angry, maybe punches a wall, especially when the alpha is not around. Now, the third person, the person who I believe took the life of Xana Granodal, this person, likely female or a weaker than average male. Xana would have not gotten up to the 50 plus defensive wounds if it was somebody the size and strength of Brian Koberger. This person may even be, I would say, somewhere in the ballpark of 18 to 25. Can't really say if this would be rage driven or mission driven. Almost certainly went into a bit of a panic and needs the assurance of the alpha. That's when Dylan heard, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." That is what the alpha likely was telling the person who was trying to take Xana's life at the time, struggling with Xana, while the alpha was dealing with Ethan. That is likely what happened, in my opinion. Now, could be a girlfriend of the alpha, could be some sort of love interest there, but it doesn't. I can't really say what the motive would be. I have theories on it, but this particular video is just kind of laying out a psych makeup. But yeah, definitely female or a weaker male, a more feminine type male. Probably identical build to Xana given the defensive wounds. And I would have to go back to see if, but I do know that Xana and Ethan did take Adderall. So it's very likely they would have been awake at the time that Haley and Maddie were being unalived. So that points to more towards a 4-person team. And try to run through all the scenarios. And one of the scenarios that came up to me, what if it was just a wild coincidence that you had people coming in, targeting Haley and Maddie, and then you had a whole separate group coming in to target Xana and Ethan. And it just so happened to be on the same night at roughly the same time. It is a possibility. It would be a it would be a hard sell, but you have to look at the facts here. There's no motive. There are rumors which I don't know if they've been confirmed, denied, whatever the case. But I have seen things where Xana may have been dealing. I'm not judging, but it's a possibility. So what if something went haywire that would spark this? Now, because it screams two different motives here. Because Kaylee's was personal, whether and it is undoubtedly was a target. We don't know for sure whether Xana and Ethan were either targets or collateral. So, at least somebody in this team knew the layout of the house and knew exactly where everybody was and where everybody would be. So, look at all that. And again, this was all done in a 10, 15, 20-minute time span, along with a cleanup. It doesn't fit the tight timeline of a one-person job, essentially. So, and then you look at Brian Koberger's makeup. Not really overly emotional because the autism with ASD. A loner. Wouldn't work with a team. The act of stabbing. Very close, very personal. Not Koberger's MO. He's a germaphobe. He wouldn't commit acts that would lead to such an insane mess. And on top of that, on Lana from Truth and Transparency, she had a crime scene expert on her stream. And again, and this part is speculation. We didn't get enough of the scene where Kaylee was unalived, but he said it looked like the person who took Kaylee's life might have been left-handed, given the blood splatter. I will link that video in the description. Go watch the whole thing. He does a tremendous job. Good on him for coming on. Good for Lana for getting him on. And he also gives what would be a valid reason on why Dylan was spared. But again, the timeline doesn't fit a one-person job. So, back to Koberger. Could he physically pull this off? The actual acts themselves, yes. In the timeline, no. There's no history with Brian Koberger of committing anything close to this. I mean, for goodness sake, he told on himself for not wearing a seatbelt. not too long before this happened. I mean, he has he it doesn't fit. You're trying Moscow PD, Bill Thompson, they are trying to fit a square peg in a round hole here. It doesn't add up. They are either content with good enough, which is should never ever be the case in something like this, or something far, far more nefarious going on. That will be a video for a different time. Now, why? Now, if what Dylan said was true, and she saw somebody walking out the back door and they went face to face 3 feet away, why would she be spared? Now that it tell you, the only thing that comes to mind is one of the perpetrator that she saw knew Dylan, liked Dylan, maybe even had a crush, and still felt like he had a valid shot, romantically speaking, with Dylan Mortensen. That is the only thing that can come to mind. Because men, when it comes to women, when it comes to someone that they are attracted to, they do very stupid things. And in this sort of area, you know what I mean? And that includes leaving a living witness that you looked eye to eye on. Now, tomorrow, I will try to get a video out about Dylan and Bethany, because they are getting vilified in especially alternative media, and rightfully so. But there are there's other things at play here, and that is something that needs to be talked about and needs to be said. So tomorrow, that will be the video, the true crime video that I'm going to try to get out tomorrow. So, until next time, I'm Dylan Hildreth. This is Hildreth Media. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything, and we'll see you in the next one.